You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Great to have you with me today, as you do on every Sunday. Want to welcome everybody watching this morning on our Facebook feed, our YouTube feed. We're also live on Roku, National Streaming Sports, which is brought to you in part by Bet Us, as you saw in the commercial. I gotta film a new one or get somebody to do it for me. I mean, it's okay, but not to bite the hand that feeds us, let's say, but maybe less Michael Vick. Well, where else? Ralph Williams, quick shout out to Ralph Williams and RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also catch him on a new radio gig he's going to have that will be simulcast. And I'll post some information. I still haven't found the right information. And a quick shout out to our groups that are so loyal. All of them are, guys. There's tons of them that I share this show to and allows. We get a great live following, and you guys who comment are awesome. Make sure we don't have any audio issues. I got to remember to check. You guys are awesome, but we get to 3,000-4,000 views once we share it to the groups and whatnot. So we thank all of them, specifically John Gonzalez over there at the Sports Authority. I know a bunch of you have joined John's group, one of the best groups on Facebook. All of these are great groups. Some of them are podcast outlets as well, but some are groups like John's group, like Ken Krause at Golf Buds and Sports and More, All Sports and More. Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports, good stuff. Their stuff is on LTS and also on Facebook. They do some great podcasting. Check them out. I think I shared one of their shows again the other day. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the love for baseball. Tons and tons of former Major League Baseball players and umpires and executives and managers are in that group and very active. A lot of fun there. Let's Talk Sports I talked about before. Tanner D doing a great job there, and Scott Kobe, who comes on this show, Alan Perales, who's been historically a good follower of ours, and Nick Bodkins and the whole gang over there. Samuel Dean, who comes on here from time to time, and of course Mackie Sasser, my guest from last Friday, former Met catcher, also with the Pirates and the Giants and the Mariners for a little bit. Mackie was a coach at Wallace Community College for 25 years and retired in the last couple. Great interview. And next week we'll have Gary McPhillips. Gary does, oh crap, I had him up here. Gary does some podcasting. We'll have it. He's worked for Turner Broadcasting. He's worked for the University of Tennessee in different, and among others, by the way. Doing interviewing, working in the marketing divisions, working in the sports information departments, and he still does his podcast. You still see him out there. He has interviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of the biggest names in sports. Besides that, we're going to get a little self-indulgent Friday and we're going to talk about his time in Johnstown, New York, right near where I grew up, broadcasting on WIZR, and broadcasting, not just doing some pregame stuff for the Met games that they covered or broadcast locally, but also covering the Glove City Colonials, one of the great semi-pro football teams in the area. I got a little weird thing going on here. I don't know why. We're going to try something. Bear with me 1 second. This sometimes will work. And it does. Look at that. Anyway, so Gary, we're going to be self-indulgent. We're going to talk about that. He did some high school football. The Glove City Colonials played in the Empire Football League and some other leagues later on, but semi-pro football was, and I'm not sure where it stands today, but we hope to get some of those former Glove City Colonials to get to watch the show and comment. I'm going to count on Rick Sherlock to do that, and we'll get into it. We'll get to your comments and good mornings in a second. A couple things just to kick you guys off. It's your show, as you know. Oh, DDH, thumbs up, by the way. I know you're with us this morning, wherever you are. College football yesterday. Georgia survives Kentucky. Weird. South Carolina goes up there and destroys Kentucky last week, and Georgia struggles. But you got to win these games. You got to find ways to win. And more driving offenses also for the University of Georgia. They need to add driver education to the curriculum there, apparently. Billy Napier booed at the Florida Texas A&M game yesterday. Maybe his last game at Florida. We'll see how that plays out. Cam Ewers gets hurt for Texas, and Arch Manning dominates against UTSA. Not a bad football team, by the way, out of the AAC. And Florida dismantled them 56-7, I believe. More struggles for FSU. And this team isn't a team of quitters. I know that Rick and I were going back yesterday in the group chat, but I'm going to explain one more time today why it's unfair how you're characterizing this group of kids. Colorado wins over Colorado State. Too much yakking from Colorado State. Pac-12 is back, by the way. You remember Oregon State and Washington State. One of them got big victory in their rivalry games yesterday. Washington State beats Washington. But they held on to the rights, and there will be a Big 12 next year. We've already got 4 teams, and they'll be after more. 4 teams from the Mountain West are leaving. San Diego State, Boise State. Gosh, I can't remember all the teams now. Who were they? Can I find them quick? We'll find it. Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State. They're going to need some more if they want to get anywhere near power conference level. Notre Dame wins big. We talked about how they had a style points yesterday. A lot of people picked against them with the spread yesterday. The spread was only a touchdown, as high as 10 in some places, but they win for fun, as I said they would, since I wouldn't have bet any of your money on them, much less my own. Bama rolls in a tough road setting at Wisconsin. Tyler Van Dyke gets hurt again, former Hurricane quarterback. And the Hurricanes roll. Cam Ward, by the way, is exciting. He's the best 0-star recruit quarterback maybe in the history of football. I'm just making that up because I don't know the numbers on this, but I can't think of another 0-star. 5-star quarterbacks, 4-star quarterbacks, 3-star quarterbacks, 0-star quarterback. Transfer from Washington State, playing great. There's other stuff to talk about. Didn't get a chance to write down my surprise and disappointments, but we'll play off you guys. In the NFL, 49ers. McCaffrey's out 4 to 6 weeks, went on the IR. I think he went on the IR yesterday. I'll have to double check that. News that they pursued Justin Jefferson before the draft. Chase, Lamar Chase says no negotiating during the season. Maybe you ought to focus on playing instead of negotiating anyway. They might win some games. Tua's situation we can discuss. Listen, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I saw a funny post yesterday. I'll get through my little I call this the opening monologue, right? A lot of people telling Tua what to do. I'm not telling him what to do. It's his life. It's his career. He might want to consider retiring, but that's his choice. I saw a very funny post, though, telling everybody to stop telling Tua what to do. And a guy had a great reply. He goes, wait a minute, by you telling us to stop telling Tua what to do, aren't you in fact telling us what to do? So I thought that was pretty funny. What else? Overreactions. What are the overreactions to last week? The Jets lost. Big overreaction, by the way. Huge. Giants lost. Maybe not. We'll see. My hanging on there might be just my reaction to my pick of them making the playoffs. I would say the Jags loss is an overreaction. Like them a lot today. The Bills are for real. Bills played really well, by the way, Thursday night. Outside of the Tua situation, Tua didn't play well. We saw everything that's wrong with Tua's game, I think, in that game. And you saw the new Bills. 2 runs out of Josh Allen, both for touchdowns, but very controlled offense. And we'll get to our picks. Stop talking about Brady returning. It can't happen, guys. He's an owner in the league. He can't come back and play. Not for any other team but the Raiders, anyway. And in Major League Baseball, we can talk a little bit. We talked some stuff on Friday. Not all of you were here. Ads on the helmets for the playoffs. That's exciting, right? NASCAR hits MLB even more. Only 13 games left. I saw an article today. Is Chris Sale's resurgence with the Braves put him in the Hall of Fame? That might be a little much. Dodger issues. Glasnow declared out for the season. Kershaw still doubtful. Who's going to start? They got 2 starters for the playoffs. Brett Boone walks. And by the way, people are talking about Garrett Cole. This is Brett Boone's decision. Or Brett Boone. Wish Brett Boone would manage the Yankees. Aaron Boone and Cole, if you want to give them props, they decided to walk Devers after Cole had retired 10 straight guys, intentionally walk him with nobody on base. And it came back to bite him. The momentum changed. And listen, I argue a lot about not going by the book, having a feel for the game. Well, here's something where that's a little bit outside the normal strategy, but even then, you got no feel for the game. There are spots where I might say if Devers is eating Cole's lunch, he's not playing well right now, but he's eating Cole's lunch most of his career. But you just retired 10 straight. What are you doing? Anyway, that's enough for me. We got a lot of other stuff we can talk about. But your show, guys. What do you got for me? CA with us. CA, I had a dart. I had a professional dart video come up. I was going to share it with you, and then I couldn't find you and my friends list. We are friends on my personal page, I think, aren't we? If we're not, send me a request. But I was also had a couple beers as I was trying to do it. But great day yesterday, man. What a beautiful day. Outside watching college football from freaking noon till I had some chores to do. I was kind of farting around doing that same time. The granddaughter came over. We had to watch her for till about 9. They came back to get her, but she went to bed. And Grandpa sat outside until about midnight last night watching football. AC's with us. Good to have you with us. BC's for real. Great game they played against Mizzou yesterday. Sixth ranked team in the country. Tough place to play. On the road, 16-point dogs. I bet Missouri yesterday. Probably the only bet that I could have made better. I mean, every game I liked didn't go well. We'll look at the pick'em standings. 7 wins was the top yesterday. That was by Paul Spada. Notre Dame is back on track for the playoffs. Is Notre Dame back? Listen, we talked about not yet, CA. They need style points. We talked about on the college football huddle. They got style points yesterday. Everything clicked. Not a great Purdue team, but they played on the road. They won by nearly 50. So they need to do that against the have-nots on their schedule. And then they've got to beat Louisville at home. They've got to beat Florida State, which they should, obviously, now. And they've got to beat USC. 11-1, they're likely in the playoff. Assuming they don't have some really big struggles against the Navy or whomever. Shared the 2 season possibilities on Tua in the chat, fantasy chat. We'll check that out later on. For Dart News, CA gives us the PDC World Series finals on FanDuel. This was what the video I found was just scrolling through Facebook videos. Quarterfinals started at 5 a.m. Eastern. I was just having coffee. Think the Bengals beat the Chiefs this week? I'm not sure. We'll go through my picks and we'll talk about that as we go through the show. And we'll review the standings from the NFL pick'em as well. Listen, AC, I said all winter, as the Bills, people saw this as a dismantling of the Bills. I saw it as just a rebuild or a reboot, not a rebuild. They got rid of one wide receiver and brought in, and they kept Shakir, who's a experienced veteran. It was Stephon Diggs and everybody else. It's not like they got rid of 3 premier wide receivers. They got rid of one who was becoming a problem, and now you don't have to worry about getting the ball. Just throw it. Just run your offense. And I think you're going to see the ball distributed among Shakir and Samuels and Coleman and Kincaid, the tight end. And you're going to see a lot of James Cook, who's a very underrated back. And I think you might see a more in control Allen. That doesn't mean he's not going to run the football. But I think he might be smarter about where he picks his spot. And the defense is really good. Well, good. Now, maybe we don't know about really good yet. Because, again, that game the other night, good morning, Kenny. Good to have you with us. The game Thursday night, they've had Tua's numbers since the beginning. And Tua getting injured is a different conversation, which we can get into if you like. But I'm not going to tell a kid what to do. But here's the thing. The problem with Tua, and again, listen, I know it's going to come off as politically incorrect, and, anything else you want to call me. But Tua he doesn't make good decisions. Number one, he's not accurate. Then he makes bad decisions. I mean, it's when you're getting sacked, the pick 6 he threw. Yeah, you don't want to take sacks, but in that situation, when you can't even, there's no way he can even get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. So at best, he's going to have a grounding call, which would have been right where he would have got sacked. But he throws the ball up in the air and it's a pick 6. Bad decision. You got to know when to take the sack, when to get rid of the ball quickly and throw it away without a grounding penalty to avoid a sack. And he doesn't make good decisions. The cerebral part of the game seems to escape him. And don't make this about, whatever. I'm talking about one specific guy. I said that about some other guys of different ethnicity. Excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. But bad decision making. I don't care about the numbers. You throw all the numbers at me you want. How many playoff games has Tua won? How many times has he avoided them? And by the way, the Dolphins keep building this team. They're a warm weather team. I get it. But guess what? You're going to the Northeast and play in December at least a couple times a year because they flip-flop the home games from September to December, whatever, January, every year. This team can't win outside of really perfect weather. It's not built to win in bad weather. And you don't even get yourself home games. You're not good enough to get yourself home games. For me, the bloom is off the Mike McDaniel rose. JB, good to have you with us, buddy. JB and coffee. We got to start coffee about 5 a.m. to get these shows on the road, let me tell you. Not a bad start to a football Sunday. How you doing, buddy? 2 games back, your Orioles are. Danny Fuller, by the way, is going to be out there. Forgot the dates already. Danny, I don't see Danny with us yet. I know Chris Fgrave has had some internet issues, so we hope we see him this morning. If we don't, Well, we understand. Danny's going to be out there for 3 or 4 games this coming week. I think he sees the Tigers, who have pulled within 2.5 of the wild card, by the way. See if Drew and I can pat ourselves on the back a little bit. But welcome, JB. This is good. I expected this to be a hot topic a little bit. I know Kenny's I'm a big Arch Manning fan. And I was all through the recruitment process. And I have said he'd had to sit a little bit because Cam Ewers is a really good quarterback, and he's probably as good as Arch. He gets hurt, and now it's going to matter. He's not going to lose his job through injury. Arch was great. And this wasn't the Little Sisters of the Poor Tech that they were playing yesterday. UTSA is a very good football team, very well coached out of the AAC, and they dismantled them. To CA's point, which maybe I should read before I start talking, lots of his Longhorn fans illogical about my factual comment about Arch. He's definitely the most cocky Manning ever. Shocked Archie or Cooper never. Cooper didn't check that before he was out of high school. I don't know. I saw some of that yesterday. All I saw was exuberance. I didn't see anything over the top. And in all fairness, CA, I didn't watch the entire game. But this is the world we live in. It's a, hey, look at me world we live in. I don't like it any more than you do. And I'm a little shocked that Archie or Cooper didn't check this a little bit. But remember something. He finally got his chance to play in a real game that mattered and put up real numbers and played. I mean, he was fabulous. There's no other way to put it. This team, I don't think, would be hurt with either Cam or Arch playing. And Arch is going to be a big star. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not sure whether we just saw exuberance or cockiness. And by the way, you can be cocky as long as you back it up. You know, Tom Brady was a little cocky from time to time. And by the way, I'm not comparing the two, please. But I get your point, I guess. I'm sure we'll talk a little more about that situation as we go on, because I know Kenny had made some comments in the group about it yesterday. And Kenny commented on the Big Football Show earlier, who's the best, or asked the question, who's the best quarterback there right now? I still think it's Cam Ewers, all things being equal. A healthy Cam Ewers is probably a better choice for Texas to play right now. If they had to play with Arch Manning, would that be a bad thing? No, I don't think it would be. But I think the experience will matter in some of these big SEC games. But Arch is a very talented kid. AC's got a little parlay today. Patriots to win on the money line. You know, I have considered a wager there myself, and I'm having trouble pulling the trigger. I mean, Seattle's not a power. It's another tough card today. I'll tell you. Last week was tough. I don't know what our survivor pick will be, but my choice will be, I got to confer with my partner. My choice is going to be, is it Houston? I think it was the Texans. We'll look at the schedule again. Pretty sure. Patriots, look at you saw the best the Patriots are going to do last week. That's the blueprint for winning. They might be able to do that against Seattle. I don't think they got a defense that's going to ball hawk and really force Jacoby Brissett into mistakes. And I think they got a chance to win this game. But I'm not going to overreact, right? I mean, it's very funny. We talk about overreactions. I said, well, what were your? I think the overreaction to the Jet loss is remarkable. On the Wednesday national streaming sports show, you know, everybody's doom and gloom. Jets stink. Jets defense. Aaron Rodgers. Blah 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 blah. None of them played in the preseason, and it showed. And this is why they should play in the preseason. I don't want to see crappy football throughout September, which is a different conversation. But to overreact to that Jets loss. You can't. If I was to go, I've gone on any show and said, "Look, Patriots, look at them, better than we thought. They're probably going to be 12 and 5 and get to the AFC Championship game." Well, that'd be a stupid overreaction. It's no different on the other side when you write somebody off after one bad game, especially a team as talented as the Jets, by the way. And by the way, I'm the furthest thing from a Jet fan or an Aaron Rodgers fan as you can find. I had a very funny post I put up, by the way. I don't know if any of you saw it. I had Jet fans taking offense to it, ripping me, trolling. It was about Aaron Rodgers after the game saying a lot of things went wrong and he gave him passion. It was a joke. There was a fake quote. There's a lot of fake stuff on the internet, and some of it's funny, by the way. But you got to know what's fake and what's not. He didn't say this. He went into the locker room and said, I'm not going to point fingers because there's too many. There's 21 places I could point the finger, and I only have 10. Read between the lines. It's very funny. Funny is always funny, guys. Stop being offended. JB. Finn's fan here. I don't think I knew that. Big Shula guy. Not a big fan of Tour at McD. I'm not. Listen, Josh McDaniel. Mike McDaniel's kind of like he's a weird guy, by the way. And God bless him. He's overcome alcohol addiction but he's got these weird looks. Last year with the one pant leg up and the one pant leg down. Now I'm not sure what that look is. But this guy, what's the last big game this guy won? They could have won a big game at the end of the regular season and not played in the 27 below zero weather in Kansas City last year in the playoffs. But they couldn't do it. So I'm not a big fan either. So now he's rooting. As a Finns fan, JB is rooting for Tua's health and retirement. Don't want to see him risk any more post-career health issues. I think he's going to get paid. He's got X amount of money guaranteed. Not like this guy's not set for life. His family, you got to consider your family. But when you're an elite athlete, right, it can't be easy just to say, that's it, I'm walking away. But knowing what we know about concussions, CTE, I would hope he's getting good counseling. That's all. It's that the more you get, the more susceptible you are. I remember Troy Aikman talking about, the fact that he had like 8 diagnosed concussions, but that he probably had, 50. And it's certainly more because of Tua in a way, what happened 2 years ago, more in the forefront, this conversation. Good players are cocky and others besides Grandpa. And the others besides Grandpa, it was just a kid I think I kind of agree, Kenny. I didn't see anything that was really over the top. I think, again, he's an excited kid who got a chance to play on a big stage for the first time, really, and really contribute. And that's what I saw. And cockiness is good, man. If you can back it up, it's okay. I don't know what the others besides Grandpa. I'm not sure where you're going there. But listen, I've said this a lot of times about Archie Manning, Grandpa. If Archie Manning had played with any other football team besides the Saints when he got drafted, maybe not any other team, but if he played with a good team, if he played with a team as good as the Giants or as good as the Colts, where Peyton and Eli played, and Denver would, in Peyton's case, he'd have been better than all of them. But he didn't. I mean, he was playing in a place where he had to run for his life and never got a chance. Paul Spada, good morning, Paul. Congratulations. You had the most wins yesterday in the college pick'em. Since you're here, I'll give the scores from yesterday. Paul had 7 wins. One of the ESPN people, who I don't know who that is, had 6. Sports Nuts had 6. Scott Kobe had 5, as did the Dogs, Poppies, Mad New Yorker, Beamer Ball. Yours truly really came in weak with 3. And we got 3 ESPN guys who it looks like they have dropped out of the pool, which is fine. I'm not really concerned. It is what it is. And right now, that's one of the ESPN that's playing. I don't know who it is. It's got to be one of you regulars. Got to rename your team if I'm going to know who we are. 220 points to lead the pool, followed closely by the Sportsnet at 210 and Paul Spada at 200. And then we got my Scott Kobe at 180 and down from there. So congratulations, Paul. Great day yesterday. I love Arch. I don't know what's on. Maybe CA. Well, CA. Well, he's a Texas guy. I know he's a Houston fan. I'm sorry, Astros fan, a Rangers fan. Not sure. CA. You gotta give me more detail why you think Arch is a bad kid. Not a bad kid, but attitude is an issue. Or so far I don't see it. Great. You don't have a better pedigree than this kid's got, Paul. By the way, his dad, and I think I've mentioned on this show, his dad, Cooper, it's always been talked about that Cooper, as far as athletically, Cooper was a wide receiver, not a quarterback, but he played at Ole Miss, and he was probably the best athlete of all three boys. And he sadly had to give up his career during college because of a neck injury. Funny guy, too, man. He did some cool stuff with ESPN. McLeod is a nice college quarterback for sure. We talked about this. Paul asked me about him last week. I forget where the hell he's playing now. But very good. Well, listen, I don't like Aaron Rodgers either, but the fact is he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's been a bit selfish at times. The meme I put up was totally in jest, and as always, yes, people were offended. They either took it too seriously. He didn't say it, folks. You know, you got to stop getting your news from Facebook. Everybody needs to stop getting their news from Facebook. Come on my show and I'll give you the real deal. But if I put up a meme, I can tell you it's a joke. Unless I comment and tell you it's real. I mean, he didn't say this. And it was funny. Then I get other guys commenting they're offended because, busted the Jets. And, stop it. Freaking babies. It's just, we're offended by everything. We have false narratives everywhere. And by the way, we got to be careful with we will stall talk when it comes into play and it fits the conversation. We can fit a little bit of politics. As politics does play into sports these days, and because sports is a microcosm of society in a lot of cases. I just got to be careful of the comments I put up. I want you guys to feel free, as you always are, to express your opinions, because I'm going to agree with some of you and disagree with you, and sometimes vehemently. But there are, Nazis running Facebook, and I have to be very careful, or they like to take the show down. They didn't, block me or anything. They just took a show down because of a comment I put up a few weeks ago that really was not a big deal. So we'll talk in code from now on, I guess, is what we'll do. We'll come up with our own code language. So, the Facebook Nazis don't, I say that enough, I'll get banned too, right? Anthony, good morning. Good to have you with us. Big game for your Redskins today against the hapless Giants. I think the Giants turn it around today. Where's Danny Fuller? Oh, Danny's there. There you go, Danny, your first soundbite. I also ripped the Yankees this morning and your Dodgers. So I was an equal opportunity ripper. Just to comment ahead a little bit, I will in a second, Danny, so you get a chance to respond. If Tua retires, he gets $124 million. There you go. And by the way, on the other side of this, given his history, injury history, when they gave him an extension, does anybody think that the Dolphins don't have this money insured? They do. A lead or not, stop playing. Playing is hard thing to stop playing, I think was what you're saying. Playing is a hard thing for anybody to do for anything. To stop playing. Yeah. I agree. It's a great, and Kenny, that's an excellent point. I didn't play at this level. You didn't play at this level. But when I stopped playing ball, that was not an easy choice. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed trying to be the best I could be. And And I enjoyed the camaraderie with my teammates like yourself, Kenny, up until I was in, I don't know, mid to late 30s, I guess. My body broke down because I only knew one way to play, and Kenny only knew one way to play. And the guys I played with all knew only one way to play. And you know what it wasn't like? It wasn't like the guys you watch play ball today, baseball, let's say. We were playing at the end, fast pitch softball. I only knew one way to play, and that was all out. I had to go to work the next day. And my body wasn't, I wasn't well, probably none of us were in elite shape by the time we stopped playing, but it wasn't easy to stop playing then. So Kenny's got a great point. I'd say elite players, we got a life outside of sports, but it wasn't easy. I agree. That's a great point, Kenny. Good morning. The red is not your color. This is, there's a reason the red is on. There's red in Patriots, so I wear some red. And we won. I have the exact same shirt, the exact same T-shirt, the exact same Patriot shorts. Usually you'll see me in my blue logoed Patriot, even short sleeve or when it gets colder, long sleeve. Problem is, the weather's been warm. That's a little too warm for me. There's a lining inside it. And we won wearing this, so I will have the same hat on when I leave, and it will be red. I don't mind the red. I don't look good in any colors, Danny. So, believe me, I don't look good on camera. I don't look good in person, and whatever. I wear what makes me comfortable, and today I'm comfortable in red, and I got to wear it because we won last week. My mistake for wearing this last week, I wouldn't have to wear it. I might have to wear this until December if the Patriots go on a run. Tongue in cheek, guys. Tongue in cheek. Good morning, Danny. Anyway, Tua, bless him, should retire. Agreed. You're welcome, Paul. Good job yesterday. Tough card. Tough card in NFL today, too. We'll get into that in a little bit. When I do my picks, I'll recap last week's. He said at least Paul won something in college. Did Paul have a bad week in pros last week? A lot of LOL going on today. Florida State is taking the Saints no-name look with the black. I think you mean the bag. Or the black or the bag. Oh, my God. The Aints. It's really sad what's going on there in Florida State. Well, and I don't see Rick today. I hope Rick's doing okay. I didn't see him for the half hour I was on with the National Streaming Sports guys, and I haven't seen him here yet. So hopefully Rick's doing okay this morning. I did get a message from him. I think some bit. Oh yeah, that fake Tom video, Mike McDaniel video. That was pretty funny stuff, by the way. The deep fakes are awesome today. They're doing some good stuff. Florida State's a mess, man. Mike Norvell's probably not in any trouble. Look, he had 2 good years. Should have been in the playoff last year, and he wasn't. I guess you can't blame the coaches when the players don't come and play. And I wish Rick was here. I think Kenny understands. It's hard in the chat sometimes because we're going back and we're making comments. I mean, I know Rick's, and I know in a way Rick's pushing my buttons because he wants to take the place of Billy Pulver in the worst way and the Mad New Yorker a little bit. You don't want to model yourself after the Mad New Yorker. Model yourself after Billy. That'd be fine. But this isn't Quitter University. The kids who played in that game and got beat 60-3 or whatever the hell the score was, 60-7. 63-7, whatever, in the bowl game against Georgia. Like 15 or 17 of the starters had left that team, guys. They played with their third string quarterback. It's not fair to label a bunch of kids who haven't played much, going out there, playing their hardest, and getting their ass kicked by maybe the best team in the country, even though they weren't in the playoff with a chance to show it. They would have been this year. And so would Florida State, by the way. and those kids probably would have played. Label the kids who didn't show up quitters. I'm okay with that. To label this team and these kids quitters is very unfair. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I say that all the time. But I will argue vehemently when I think that opinion is wrong. And this one is not fair. And in my opinion, wrong. Those kids who went out there and played as hard as they could. Rick talked about, taking pride. And when he played, he took pride in playing. And I feel bad Rick's not here. I hope you're here, Rick. I'm looking ahead to see if I see it at all. I don't. But I would say this if Rick was here. It doesn't matter. He'll see this later. Sometimes you play with as best you can and you get your ass whooped because you're playing a better team and better athletes. It just happens. And I don't think those kids quit. Third and fourth string quarterbacks playing. 9 of the 12 defensive starters had a really good defense. That was a big part of their success, not playing in that game. So I don't know why we label these guys quitters that are playing now. It's not a good football team. And I guess one of the questions that came up yesterday is you're telling me the guys that didn't play were that important? Yeah, they were, because this team's 0-3, and a lot of those kids are there. It's not a good football team. Now, you can tell me that Florida State's not an elite program because they don't have the depth that the Georgias and the Alabamas have. Look at Alabama. They've lost their coach and a lot of elite players through the transfer portal after Nick Saban retired, and they're playing great. They went up there at Camp Randall and won in a place that's tough to win. Now, I know they're struggling in Wisconsin a little bit in Luke Fickell's second year, but still a tough place to go play, and they dismantled them. It's just not a good football team, Florida State. I mean, that's all. I will tell you this. Say whatever you want. He was an elite. He was an elite quarterback. He could do things. He was there doing things Patrick Mahomes does before Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady, and everybody knows how I feel about Tom Brady, especially you, Paul. There are things on the football field, athletic-wise, that Aaron Rodgers could do, that Brady could never think of doing. But Rodgers was not a winner. Great quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. He's a crybaby. And at some point, somewhere, something clicked and he just turned into a weirdo. Eight, 9 years ago, maybe his whole Olivia had done. I'm interested to read his book, quite frankly, and find out where he thinks he became a weirdo. They are school colors. Great point, too. Kenny, thank you. I forgot that. Red and white, Perth colors. Thank you very much, Kenny. I forgot all about that. Perth Red Raiders. I'm okay with the Broad Albion Perth. I didn't go to Broad Albion Perth, though, guys. Kenny didn't go to Broad Albion Perth. They merged these school districts in 1988. I'm not a grad. I'm a Perth grad. I'm a Perth guy. I'm a Red Raider. I'm not a Patriot. Cool name, as you might expect, I would say. But I'm a Red Raider. And these are Perth colors. Thank you, Kenny Gifford. Rodgers equals mushrooms and whatever other psychedelics he can probably get his hands on. So, whatever. It is. All I'm saying is that's one of the bigger overreactions in my mind, to say this Jets team stinks, losing to a 40 when nobody had played in the preseason. Rodgers didn't play one down. So him and his skill position players didn't play any downs together at all in a game situation. You can practice all you want. I don't care. You can scrimmage all you want. You don't scrimmage at full speed. So week one, overreactions right and left. Even week two, I don't know. I'm not going to know anything about these teams until the 1st of October. That's my opinion. I'll know nothing about them. Which is why I don't think Green Bay's out of this. They can win one game while Love's out. They did very well. And if he's back after 3 weeks and they're 0-3, 1-3, if it's 4 games, they're not out of it. It's a good team. So don't, we got to slow down, man. It's funny, but the same people who say that's an overreaction, or I'm saying, I'm sorry, I back up. The same people who are saying that's not an overreaction. This is who the Jets are. If I was to say, look at the Patriots then, man. How good did they look? Very efficient. Moved the ball. Didn't turn it over. Played great defense. Got off the field on 3rd down. This team has a legitimate chance to win the Eastern Division of the AFC. No, they don't. Maybe they do. Maybe momentum takes over. Maybe they beat Seattle today, and they do. But I'm not going to change. And I said, by the way, just to be clear, before Danny gets on me for ripping the Patriots and the Yankees as well, I did say in July that I did not say it was a probability. I said there's a path in a perfect world. Perfect world. That means everything goes right to 9 wins. And in a hunt for a wild card. In a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, so that's unlikely. 4 wins was much more likely than 9. They played a great game yesterday. That's what they have to do every week. Are they going to be perfect every week? Doubtful. Overreaction. Are the Vikings as good as they looked last week? Or the Giants as bad as they looked last week? I don't know if both things can be true, but they could be. Giants had a really awful first week. Danny Dimes didn't play hardly in the preseason. Neither did any of those other Giants that stunk. I'm not. They were a playoff pick for me. Again, I take a reach because I always look for a sleeper. Always. It's boring to just go take, let's see. I'll take the Cowboys, and I'll take the Eagles, and I'll take the Lions, and I'll take the Rams and the 49ers. And have some fun, man. Anthony, this is one of our 4 opportunities. Wait a minute. When did you become a Redskins fan, Danny? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somewhere along the line you said. I know you were a fan of the name Redskins. I wonder how long I can be as unwoke as possible and stay on the air. Something to ponder. I'm going to try, though. I'm going to continue to be me. And if the Nazis ban me, they ban me. What can I do? And then I'll tell you guys where to find me because I'll find a place to broadcast from. Anthony. So anyway, yes. I think you were talking about the Redskins against the Giants. I don't know if you're talking about yourself or me, but both things are true. I'm a true Pats fan. I can find a way to victory. I always want to be wrong. When I rip my teams, because I'm not I don't wear rose-colored glasses and just look at, Yankees are going 162-0 before the season. The Patriots are going. I'm gonna move this back a little bit. Patriots are going to go 17-0. That's not realistic thinking when you're judging your team's season. You need to look at the faults and what's good and what's bad. There's always good and bad. I don't think anything changed with my volume. Anybody else having the same problem? Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Kenny. I am doing okay in the NFL Pick'em 2. I'm good. Well, we're going to review that in a second. Kenny brings up a great point, and I was kind of waiting. Thank you for reminding me, Kenny, so I didn't go too far. I was kind of waiting to get like all the regulars in here because I know it takes a while for you guys to filter in on a Sunday morning. But I want to pay a little tribute to one of our loyal followers and somebody who's a fellow Perthite, and I really appreciate you bringing this up, Kenny. I posted some stuff to both my personal page and TGI Sports Talk page about Steve Orpello, who'd started. I've known Steven since he was a little kid. He's younger than myself, certainly younger than Kenny. And I don't mean that as a shot, Kenny, but Steve, who'd been following all my shows for the last 6 months, had some health issues. Lost a leg a year or so ago, maybe. But a really good guy. I know him from years back. Great golfer, by the way. Stevie was a great golfer. But he worked at Crystal Bar for Tony Sentai, first in the kitchen making pizzas, and then tending bar, and did a lot of things for Tony. Worked for Tony too after Tony had given up Crystal Bar, and even after Tony had given up restaurants altogether, he was up at Cronies making the old Crystal Bar pizzas before he got sick and whatnot. And he Friday morning apparently sadly suffered a stroke and passed away after. I don't think too long after, and it's a sad loss. And our hearts and prayers go out to Stephen. You know, I hope you're in a better place, my friend, and to the Orpello family. Kenny Gifford belongs to a family entrenched in Perth for years and years and years. And the Orpellos are that kind of family. There's, I don't know how many siblings. Kenny, you were, or your brother was married into the family for some time. I can't remember the number of siblings. I want to say there's like 8 girls and boys. And the parents were just great people. They're gone now as well. And hopefully Steve is reconnected with his parents in a better place and having a good time. But our thoughts and prayers go out to Steve and his family. And Kenny, I'm glad that I really appreciate you pointing that out to me, because sometimes I get going and I lose track of things, but I wanted to get the audience a little bigger before I talked about it. So, Stephen, fly high, my friend. Enjoy. As I said in my post, the pizza, the bartending, and the laughter, because Steve could be a very funny guy, is much better today in heaven. So rest in peace, my friend. There. Let me take a breath. You know, I always, talking about this real quick, let me stay on this for 1 second. When I posted what I posted about Steven, it always gets a little awkward sometimes, because and I never know how to respond sometimes when somebody posts something very nice, and then people respond, sorry for your loss. But it's a loss for me. It's a loss for everybody that knew Steve, but it's his family that really deserves those thoughts and prayers. I mean, I guess everybody does that knows somebody like that. But it's always a little awkward for me when I see them come back. So sorry for your loss. I never know what to say in that case myself. I mean, Danny let us know about his brother passing away a few years ago at a very young age. Sorry for your loss. That's your sibling. I get that. But when close friends pass away, it always seems, I never know. It's an awkward situation for me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just one of those situations I never know what to say. So, Paula, you guys got to invite me into this college fantasy league next year. Paul and Danny are in this 10-team college league. And in all fairness, he won the title last year, and I think he was a Spygate, and maybe it inflated the balls. You know something? I got to tell you something. So since you bring this up, now you bring up one of my other favorite topics. So the league is full of murderers. Sorry, we had one on our team. He did go to jail. There was a well-known, if not murderer, then certainly somebody who was an accomplice to a multiple homicide that ended up in the Hall of Fame, who likes to make comments about lesser important things going on in the state of football. There's women abusers. There's guys who are driving reckless and nearly killing people. I see them playing every day. Now we got the massage molester, I think is what Drew had me calling. the guy, I've mentioned his name a few times on other shows. I won't mention him on this show, but he's now accused again. And you can say it's a money grab, it's whatever. But everybody goes back to deflating footballs. Don't let the air out of footballs. You do whatever you want, guys, in life. If you're an NFL player, I'm not talking about us, or we'll go to jail for just freaking jaywalking. Of course, in New York, you'll get let out in 5 minutes, no matter what you did. But if you're an NFL player, you can do whatever you want. Ray Rice, was banned from the league after the video came out of him slapping his wife in an elevator, but his career was about over anyway. Ray Lewis is the poster child. If you can play, you will be in the league. But don't let the air out of footballs, because the NFL is going to chase you around for years trying to get 4-game suspension from you. Like guys like Deshaun Watson are still in the league and still playing. So anyway, I know it's a joke and it's funny. It is funny because funny is always funny. And I do agree with that, but it gives me a chance to get on my soapbox. Listen, I'll maintain forever that the Patriots, whether it's Spygate, deflated balls, Michigan with their their own Spygate, everybody's doing the same stuff. Everybody. Selective prosecution. Go watch. I watch it. Netflix has a great new documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about the coach that was in charge of stealing signals, a stallion, right? Stallions. It was a great, and listen, there was different perspectives. He was the main guy being interviewed. But the thing that comes out of this to me is every single team has got a guy stealing signals. Every single team in college football has a guy like Stallions on their squad stealing the signals. And he maintains he doesn't know. Other teams, by the way, were shown to have sent guys to visiting other rivalry games, rivals games, and videotape the sidelines while they were in the stands, which is illegal. But Stallions maintains he already knew the signals. He didn't ask anybody to do it, and he already knew the signals. And based on what I saw, he probably did. The guy was some kind of savant. But anyway, my point is everybody's doing this stuff. So please, some of the Astros, everybody does the same stuff. Somebody takes it to the next level, and everybody gets all bent out of shape, and everybody's trying to get an edge. Everybody. And there's selective prosecution wherever you look. End of rant. Too long to explain, maybe time to explain later. I very rarely go to the fantasy chat. So if you got something you want me to read, you probably have to send it to me directly. Cooper's issue was a small spine issue. Peyton took his number from the moment. Peyton took his number from the moment Archie said Coop wasn't ever going to play again. I doubt it was and you see, here's the thing. There's no small spine issues, especially when you're playing a violent game like football. But if you have your problems with Arch, you can explain to me. You don't have to put it. You can put it here. I put it here. We'll talk about it. Summarize it. This is a place for us to talk about it. That's what we want to do in this chat. Yeah, I see your wasn't CA. No worries there. I knew what you meant. I know one thing. It's notice I didn't even read it as waste. I just read it as wasn't. I know one thing. If your Oregon Ducks keep dropping over a win, I'm writing the NCAA in full detail, 2-page paper. I know one thing. If my Oregon Ducks keep dropping over a win, from in the polls, well, Jesus. You can't, I like Boise State a lot, but you can't be losing to Boise State at home. If you want to be one of the top 5 teams in the country, you can't be losing to Boise State on a late field goal at home, and you can't be struggling against one of the worst teams, I shouldn't say worst, one of the bottom half of the NCAA, to be fair, in Idaho. So teams drop after wins all the time. You'll go up. You should maintain this week. You had a nice win over a longtime historical rival in Oregon State. And kudos to Oregon State and Washington State for trying to keep the Big Ten together. They did a smart thing by going to court to maintain the rights to the Big 12 trademark and the Big 12 logo and the Big 12 bank account, maybe most importantly. And they're going to try to rebuild this. I'll bet you anything, by the way, Cal and Stanford reverse and get out of the ACC and head back to the Pac-12 next year. I don't know if that's a hot take because we're not talking about, Notre Dame joining a conference. But I think Cal and Stanford, if they'd known what was going to happen this year, probably would not have gone the route of joining the ACC. They would have done something like Oregon State and Washington State did this year. Gotcha. Georgia was so superior. It was shown as far as not making the playoff. The NCAA had a brain fart. I agree. It's Kenny and I we're right on this. It's funny. This is why we get in the chat. We're going back and forth. And there were times, Kenny, it felt like you might have been, there's Rick. I don't know if you saw my comments earlier, Rick, but we can revisit them one more time. Yeah, they're, you don't lose like 15 of 22 starters or 17 out of 22 starters and then say they weren't playing hard. Those kids played their hearts out. They can quit. And all the kids you want to rip are gone. That's my whole point. And Rick is here now to defend himself. Rick, by the way, and good morning to you, Rick. Glad to see you with us. Hope you're doing okay. And it's all in fun. We have a lot of fun riding each other. And Rick, as I said earlier, is anointed himself to take Billy Pulver's spot as Chief Itch. That's what it calls it, itch. Stop being an itch. I have no idea what it means. I guess it's like being a pain, something she's got to scratch. I think. I'm not sure. But Rick, Gary McKillips will be on as my guest on 101 with Keith Engle next Friday. And I know you were going to get some, and I'll go back in the chat. I think you put them all in our personal chat. I hope so. Some little tidbits. I'll bring some names up to Gary about the Colonials. Gary McKillips, who's, he's worked for Turner Broadcasting. As I mentioned, he's worked for University of Tennessee and a bunch of other. I'll have when I put the promo up, I'll have his resume or part of his resume anyway. But early in his career, in the early mid 70s, he worked in Johnstown at WIZR, doing Met pre-games, doing interviews with Met players, but also broadcasting high school football and the Glove City Colonials. So we're going to be a little self-indulgent in our one-on-one show Friday. We'll talk about Gary and his entire career. But we're going to focus a lot on those times in Johnstown. And I hope he had good memories. If he didn't, could get awkward, I guess. But Rick's given me a bunch of names, most of which I knew, some I didn't remember. And if there's any other anecdotes you'd like me to follow up on. And I'm curious whether, your brother Bob or Johnny or any of the guys you mentioned coming in, that you had mentioned Gary would be on the show, remembered him at all broadcasting those games. Because I haven't had an in-depth conversation with Gary yet. I don't really know, whether how long he did it or how long. So there is a good morning to Rick. Rick could still sing our fight song. Boy, I can't. God bless you. You want to do it for us, Rick? I'll bring you on. I can send you a link. You can come on the show and sing it for us if you prefer. Be happy to bring you in. I'm glad Kenny brought up the wearing school colors. And below, I've got my Patriot shorts, and we'll have a little, of course, a favorite ball cap. I got to tell you, for 20 years, I basically wore the same outfit every game. What's up with Miami running up there's no running up scores, by the way. You have to have style points. This is the way college football is played. And I have never been one. And again, people have different opinions on this. But once you're out of Pop Warner, maybe even high school, maybe I'll give you high school. But you get to college, you're basically grown men. Most of these kids have been around 4, 5, 6 years now. It's your job to stop my team. Cam Ward played a great game. Miami needs style points later on, possibly if they don't win the ACC championship game. Let's say they may need those style points to get into the tournament. You're going to. The same thing happens in basketball. Again, they're grown men at this point. They're not just kids. Some of them are. It's not my job to stop my team. It's your job to stop my team. I know Cam Ward was in the game for a long time. Patriots, and Paul, by the way, in all fairness, we had a few years, 2007 comes to mind, where we ran up scores against team relentlessly. And I'm okay with that too. So, I mean, maybe you weren't okay with it as a Patriot fan. I have no problem with it. Not my job to stop me. Your job to stop me. Especially if you're putting out kids in. And I understand Cam Ward was in that game for a long time. But at the end of the game, I think when they scored their last touchdown, I may be wrong because I was flipping back and forth by the end. I don't think Cam Ward was in when they scored their last touchdown. Run it up. And by the way, here's the thing. The Ball States of the world, they're getting paid big money to go play these games, to get their asses kicked. That's the reality. Here's $1 million. I don't know what they got. 2 years ago, UConn got $2 million from Penn State to go to Happy Valley, and they knew they'd get their butts kicked. Last week, Albany State from here, University of Albany, went to West Virginia. And it wasn't quite a shellacking like this, but they got beat by 35 or 40 points. They know they're going to get beat. They get paid $750,000, and they know they're going to get beat. And I would say the same to Ball State. They know what's going to happen. You don't want this to happen? Don't put them on your schedule, and don't take the money. That's just me, Paul. Again, that's just me. You say the same thing against Florida A&M last week. And maybe it's just a Ball State thing. Let me go back to it one more time, Paul. Is the problem really that it's against Ball State that we ran up the score? Or, I mean, if they played Alabama or Florida State, they'll use rivals, or Clemson, which is going to be our biggest game probably all year again, would it be the same feeling that they ran up the score? I'm thinking not. So I can't feel sorry for the Ball States. You want to take the money to go get shellacked, then take your medicine. CA Anthony, I believe Tua will be cleared. Whether he's cleared is not the question. Whether he retires will be the question. I think CA is going there. Meaning, if he chooses to retire, he gets $42 million before taxes, and the rest will go. It's still good enough money. If not medically cleared and Tua decides to retire, he'll get medically cleared because the team's not going to pay this money out. It's business. He'll get medically cleared, I would think. Right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think you would. It's a good point, though. I think I can live on $42 million too. The mushroom is code for Rodgers, like magician is Holmes. And 7 is from Brady. Kenny's in charge of the code. We just put him in charge. I bet both Notre Dame and Colorado yesterday. It's funny. I said I wouldn't bet Notre Dame with your money yesterday. Oh, God. I had 2 out of 3 losers. I whiffed because I should have taken South Carolina. I touted South Carolina all week and then talked myself out of betting them Saturday morning. Same thing happened last week with can't remember which team. And I slid North Carolina State in. So my bets originally would have been Missouri, which still would have lost, A&M, which won, and South Carolina. I would have won 2 out of 3, but I slid Georgia in there, Rick. Great showing on the road there. But again, as I said, good teams are resilient. They find a way to win those games. And my guess is Kirby Smart will use this as a very good teaching moment because they've got some tough games coming ahead they were likely looking ahead to. They got games against 4 teams that are in the top 10 in the SEC as of this week, I believe. Won the hook for the entire deal and insurances takeover. Agreed. But he's going to get a lot of money. The bottom line, he's going to get a lot of money. And money aside, your health matters. And it's his choice to make. If he wants to put himself at risk, then he continues to play. But I will tell you this. If I'm the Dolphins, and by the way, they have to be careful given your points here about medically cleared, right? Medically cleared. If they clear him medically and they say, well, Tua, if you're going to keep playing, you're going to have to sign a waiver that we're not responsible for any medical issues or anything that happens to you on the field or any medical issues you incur later on. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm getting that assurance. Now, that also puts at risk probably the payment of the money. But in the long run, you let him go out there and play. If you medically clear him and he gets hurt, see, the Dolphins have it. There's a question what the Dolphins should do here, too. Another team couldn't medically clear him. The Dolphins don't have to. And if they want to protect themselves, because there could be a whole lot more money on the line than $170 million, whatever it is, a whole lot more money on the line than that. If he were to be seriously injured on the field and then they had cleared him, I guarantee you there'd be a lot more money involved. Don't worry. I think I read it the same way. Oh, I see. On the hook. I think I read it as on the hook. So our minds are working the same way. AC Seattle coming to New England to play one. I love playing West Coast teams. Coming east, always. It's always a good bet, especially for 1:00 games. Whether it's a good no. I'm not saying you said that, by the way. But I will tell you this: momentum is huge. You win a couple games you didn't expect to win, which I probably counted in my perfect world scenario. I likely counted this Seattle game as a win. I didn't count the Bengals as a win on the road. And by the way, the survivor pool that I'm in, that's worth over $100,000 now, and probably will go up because you can buy back in. If you go out this week, you can buy back in one more week at double the cost. Lost a third of the 600 entries last week. Cincinnati. Yes, sir. I might bet them today. I don't know yet. It's possible. I got 3 bets in the cigar box to make yet. But I like Jacksonville a lot. We're going to go through these in a second. In fact, I'll get to a couple comments here and we'll go to it. 1970. That's right. You told me this story before. You moved over to George Allen. Your son's a big Bills Mafia fan. Not sure how that happens. Becoming a Bills fan before they win a Super Bowl, so I'm not like Paul Spada bandwagon fan. Listen, if Paul grew up in Boston, it's got to be, can't be a bandwagon jumper. I'm not a bandwagon jumper, I can tell you that. I had season tickets in the 80s for 10 years. Was a fan from 1970 when I was 10 years old, and my dad, a friend of mine's dad and his friend took us to a Patriot Chiefs game in 1970. And at the time I was a Yankee fan because everybody was Met fans. And as I was looking for a football team coming of age at 10 years old, 9 years old is when you start picking teams and stuff. Jets won a Super Bowl. Giants, kids were fans of the Giants because their dads were. There was a few nonconformists around, like obviously Rick Sherlock going to the Vikings. I had a friend, Danny Papernak, God rest his soul, too, whose dad was a big Vikings fan. Danny Papernak. But I became a Patriot fan because of that. I don't know Paul's situation. I know Paul's from Boston, so I'm assuming he became for a different reason. Sorry to the family, as I said, AC. So thank you for that. It's a really good. It's a great family, man. Rick Sherlock, my big payoff yesterday was Indiana straight. Good pick. 3 or 4 parlays. Only loss was Georgia. The problem with parlays is you lost your bet. I don't like parlays. Years ago, when I bet a lot, I mean, I bet smart. Like you say on the bet us app, you always bet with your head. I'm assuming all you guys do. Years ago, I didn't always do that. You know, I loved it for the reverses. Well, it's just stupid, freaking sucker bets. I bet everybody straight up now. Agreed with the guys on the Pats who say the Pats cheated. These are also jealous people who can't take the fact that Pats dynasty. I agree. Been a big topic here since I started this show. If you had to play the football, they did not win. No, they ran for like 800 yards that day. Not on the sidelines. I'm not sure what that's for. Not sure what that's for, Rick. We got to get to... I'll wait till 10 o'clock, and I'm going to do the picks, and we'll look at the scores of the standings a little bit. Our standings in the NFL. Somebody needs to hire Bill B because he's so bad on the NFL channel. He just needs to retire. I watched him, Danny, on and I love the Manning Cast on Monday nights. I don't watch the traditional broadcast. I like the Manning Cast a lot. It's funny. They're witty. They give you some insights of the game that you don't get elsewhere, and they ride each other. It's really funny. But Bill I thought derailed the show Monday night. First, his audio was off, so that there was always a delay. They were talking over each other. They got to fix that. But Bill had some funny stuff. But yeah, I haven't watched the NFL Network, so it's not the NFL channel, is it? I thought he's on like This Week in the NFL or something that airs on the WB or some, lesser network. Kenny says, morning, Rick, feeling better? Hope so. Rodgers even stated Rodgers, Eli Manning, several quarterbacks at the time, by the way, Danny. I'm sorry, Paul. All said they manipulated the ball to their own specifications. They took air out, they put air in, so they overinflated them. Because I think it was might have been Rodgers who said he liked more air. I think, and maybe I'm wrong. I think Rodgers said he liked more air in a football, which is also illegal, by the way. It is. It's just, I agree 100%, Paul. Guaranteed Georgia drops. Texas will be number 1. I don't disagree with that at all. I think they probably should stop. Now, they did have a pretty good lead. It was like 57 first place votes to 4. So it's going to be a big turnaround. Some of the voters are going to give them a pass for, looking ahead and still getting the win. I mean, I can't envision Georgia playing a worse game than that this year. Maybe you guys can. I can't. You can't go back to bed. You're annoying. And it's just someone that pokes people just to start issues. Oh, that's me. So I was right in my classification of. Thank you, Kenny. I've always tried to figure this out, and for whatever reason, I've never asked her. I thought she was leaving a letter off, but that wouldn't make any sense. And I figured I was a pain in the ass, like an itch that you can't scratch, which I think is what you're talking about. I love that. That's me. That's Kenny. Or that's not Kenny. I wouldn't classify you there, Kenny. Billy and Carlos, yes. Maybe. Not Carlos even. Here's the thing. And Rick put Carlos and Billy in the same category. I wouldn't. Billy would be an itch. Just stir a pot. Just stir in a pot. Carlos, I would put in a different category because I don't know that he knew what he was talking about most of the time. Paul Spada, I did that yesterday and missed half my day. Did I win my college fan? Thank you. Yesterday, I'm not sure where that comes from, but that's fine. Forgot that song with minor. I don't know what that word is. I forgot the song too. If I heard it, it would probably come back to me. When you're 45, 55, 60 up, sub in on your players, though, Dion also throwing in the last 30 seconds was pathetic. See, I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. You know, it's a big rivalry game. It's Colorado State chirped and chirped and chirped, by the way, not just the last month, but in the last week, but for the last year. Chirped and chirped and chirped and chirped. And you know what? I don't have a problem with this. You know, one thing I remember great about running up the score, the best story ever I can remember, and I love it, is, and once I start telling the story, some of you college football historians and of a certain age at least will recognize it. During the 10-year war of Michigan and Ohio State, Schembechler and Woody Hayes, in one of those years, Ohio State was beating Michigan, I don't know, 53-0. I would say they scored a touchdown with no time on the clock or 3 seconds on the clock, whatever it might have been, to make it 53-0. And or whatever, 50-something-0. And he went for 2. And they got it. And after the game, Woody was asked, Jesus, Woody, no compassion. Why would you go for 2 in that spot up by 50-some points? And he says very succinctly, because they wouldn't let me go for 3. It's okay. I don't think it's pathetic, even a little bit. Now, do I get pissed if it's my team? Sure. Get pissed and get better. Get pissed so you can get better. You can't chirp before the game and expect people not to do stuff like that. I'm not going. If I'm going to get on Dion and Colorado for yapping and all the overexcitement and stuff that went on last year when they were 3-0 and at times now chirping too much, well, then I'm going to get on Colorado State for the same thing. And they did it. And now they got to pay for it. Sorry, I really don't have a problem. And I don't care about the subbing even. I don't care if you leave your starters in the whole game. I really don't. One exception. You don't do it to the military academies. Everybody else is fair game. That's just me. I could be right. I could be wrong. That's my opinion, and it's not going to change. My apologies for not mentioning it earlier. If you all want to enjoy the closest experience without being in stadium, Skycast available feeds are the choice. Georgia versus Kentucky before starting. What? Georgia versus Kentucky before starting to end was special. I'm not sure I'm following it. So I'm guessing C is giving you a place to watch the games. I told you before, you can go right on YouTube and just Google Georgia Live, and you're going to get the game too. So I'm not sure what Skycast is, and I don't know. That game was on ABC last night, so and ESPN Plus. It was probably on ESPN3 by the time the game was over. I don't know, but listen, I go to the networks. I have ESPN Plus, and if I can't get it there, I just go to YouTube and say, "Give me Marshall Live, whatever the game might be," and I'll get it. I don't go like this, by the way. I'm not holding a walkie-talkie. Running up the score used to be the norm. You got in again. They give you style points. Go back to the 70s and 60s and 70s and 80s, and Oklahoma and Nebraska would be winning games 77-0, running the ball 95% of the time. I just don't get all wrapped up in that. All the major programs graduate that number of kids. Still not buying. All the major programs graduate that number of kids. Huh? Still not buying it. With Tua, get down stupid. Whatever. I mean, I'm not. You're right. And that's a coaching thing, too. Teach the kid how to slide feet first. But regardless of how it happened, his decision about coming back is his own and what it is. I'm not sure what the first part you're talking about is. If we're again, they're not quitters. If you're talking about the Florida State thing, all major programs graduate that number of kids. I'm not sure where we're coming up, where that comment comes from. If it's about Florida State, yeah, you can get on the program for not being as deep. I said this before. They're certainly not deep like Georgia and Alabama and just reload. That's obvious this year. They're terrible. They're terrible. And that's why they got hammered by Georgia in the bowl game, because they were terrible, the kids that were left over. Or not good. But saying they're quitters is just unfair. But you're entitled to your opinion. You stick with it. Happy to let you be wrong. Kenny's not a fan of running up scores. Only at the high school level, I found other ways before subbing players to work on things for upcoming games. Again, that's fine. And I don't agree with it. As I said, once I get to college, it's different. And again, if Ball State wants to take $1 million or whatever they got paid yesterday to go play this game in Miami, then they know what's coming. Don't schedule the game. If you don't want to take a chance, let me just see if I can find some. I need to get to the NFL a little bit. Ball State, Miami. Okay, let's just see if we can get anything. That's not it. Keith, you got to be able to type. You know, the problem with me doing this on the fly is I can't multitask for you know what. Ball State, Miami. I'm probably not going to get it. Yeah, all I get is about the delay. That game was delayed a long time yesterday, by the way. You never quite get it. I mean, all these teams get paid to go there. Oh, let's see what happened here. This game may not be here, but it might give you a better idea, okay? Week 3, New Mexico was paid $1.9 million to go to Auburn. So this doesn't speak specifically to the Miami game. Arkansas State, $1.8 to go to Michigan. UTSA, $1.7 to go play Texas. Oh, here we go. Ball State, $1.5 million to go play Miami. These keep these programs afloat. This money keeps these programs afloat. Memphis, 1.3. Well, there's a bad money spent by Florida State because they got beat. Nevada, 1.2. Toledo, another bad choice. Toledo got $1.2 million to go beat Mississippi State. Even UNLV, who beat I missed a boat on them. I love UNLV that last week. If you watch College Football Huddle, I've been talking about UNLV as being one of the best, most improved teams in the country, and they showed it again Thursday night. So anyway, these teams are getting paid a lot of money. Don't put your kids in that position if you don't want to get blown out. I mean, come on. And some of these guys might want to stop paying teams to come in and kick their ass. Paul Spada and his pathetic Packers. I don't think he's a Packer fan, is he? Patriots have no idea who his team actually is. I love Rick. Yeah. So Rick gets love and the rest of us get trashed on. Yeah, I don't think he's. Again, Anthony, I don't know what his plan is, and he's entitled to do whatever he thinks is possible. If I'm the Dolphins, though, here's a piece of paper. if you suffer a catastrophic injury or any injury whatsoever, we're not financially responsible. And whatever we owe you, we'll pay you, but you're getting not a nickel more. Paul was born in Mass, so it's instilled in me. I've suffered, and I know Paul and I have discussed this. We have both suffered through a lot of pain and agony. Those 20 years were exceptional, and we had a lot of fun, and I rode the wave all the way as hard as I could, and I was the most obnoxious Patriot fan you can find. And I said, forever, we'll be like everybody else someday, and we are, or worse, because we were just like everybody else before that. For the 30 years I was a fan before that, with a couple of exceptions. Oops, what did I do here? Ain't all about whether it was cheating. They lied all the way to, I don't care about it. To me, I don't care about any of this stuff. I really don't. Does this lying affect the game? Maybe it affects the way you look at him from a character standpoint. That's fine. Look at him any way you want. Again, did it affect the outcome of the game? No, it didn't. And I will say again, if the air quality in the balls was that important, why did the league leave them in the teams in charge of them? So that every quarterback in the league, by the way, can manipulate it. And here's the thing. Nobody else lied, CA, because nobody else was being called out on it. Nobody. Selective prosecution. Again, this is what we do all the time in sports. Happened at Michigan. Happens to the Patriots. Happens to the Astros. They can go after dozens of teams and they don't. Watch this special on Netflix. I'm telling you, what is the name of that freaking thing? Netflix. Wrong freaking. Hold on. Too much stuff going on here. Multiple keyboards, Netflix, sign, stealing. I'll give you the name of this. You go watch this. It is fascinating to me to watch. Sign Stealer. That's simply the name of it. And it's basically about the Connor Stallion story, and it was very, very, very well done. And you can believe him or not believe him. You can say he's lying through his teeth. It really doesn't matter. Go watch it. Get all the facts. You know, that's all I'm saying. And learn about how all the teams do the same thing. There was a Connor Stallion on every single team in the Big Ten. And if there was a Connor Stallion on every team in the Big Ten, you can bet there's a Connor Stallion on almost every team in the nation. Now, the level they took things is a different story. And the Tom Brady and Patriot thing, guaranteed, all the things that they did and were ever accused of and found guilty of, other teams did. You win, you get scrutinized, and people hate you, and they go after you with great vigor. That's fine. That's part, and I'm okay. That's part of the whole deal. Not offended by it. If you want, I was pissed, to be honest with you. I was pissed as a Patriot fan because the team was good enough they didn't need to do that. I hate the Packers. Everybody hates the Packers, except Kenny. Kenny's a Packer fan. My brother's a big Packer fan. You don't care till your star player gets hurt, guaranteed. Well, again, I can get hurt in games that aren't blowouts, so I'm not buying that. If Sanders gets hurt on a pass play in the final 15 seconds of a 20-point loss, the talk here is, I would not. No, my talk would not have been different. Here, other people, not mine. Again, Tom Brady rarely came out of games during his Patriot tenure. And now and again, maybe the last series, they take him out to kneel down. But he played 99% of snaps, even when they were blowing teams out. Yeah, and part of blowing teams out, and again, if that's your mantra, yeah. And there might be situations where and again, there could be situations where I say a little different, and the guy shouldn't be on the field. But if you're out there just trying to run up style points and shut up a team that's been chirping at you for weeks, then fine, do it. You take a chance on getting a guy hurt. And by the way, both things can be true. You can choose to run up the score because now you're arguing something totally different. Right? First, you're telling me running up the score is wrong. I got to get to the NFL picks here in a second. First, you're telling me that running up the score is wrong, which is fine. You can have that opinion. And then you're telling me that you're putting your star at risk. I think both things can be true. I can say it's okay to run up scores, and I can get on you for letting your player get hurt. You shouldn't have done it. Again, same thing with the cheating stuff. I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying everybody does it. I'm saying you can run up the score, and that's your prerogative. And if your player gets hurt, well, then that was a stupid move. And I think you can take both positions. And I don't think that's like being hypocritical at all. Because the argument I'm making is I don't care what the other team's feelings are. If your feelings are hurt, then get better. Don't take the money or whatever. Matt Lindoff. How do I say that? I don't know. I asked you. Lidyoff. Lidyoff? I'm going to say Lidyoff. I think I asked this before, Matt. I need stuff spelled out for me phonetically. I went to Perth Central High. Kidding. My colors. Love my school. Tua lowered his head right into the defender. It was horrible play by Tua. But again, you got to remember something. He's trying to get his team back in the game. He's lunging for a first down. He doesn't slide head first. Other players do it. With his history, man, he should be out there with a freaking one of those balloons on his head and sliding feet first. 32 Minoans and counting. I'm not sure where we are. Jeremy Ballrick, also known as what's your other moniker? Kneecap. Big Detroit fan. I like your Lions today. I got to get to the picks. Let me get to the picks and we'll come back to the comments. Let me get to the picks. I'm going to give you my picks, so everything's on the up and up. You know, I'm not going to change anything, and I will also tell you the teams I'm likely to bet. Those could change just a little bit. We'll see. Depending on what the spreads are when I get to them. And we will say this is sponsored by BetUs.com. Go to Northeast Streaming Sports website. They've got a barcode now like we can use. But you can go there and you can bet the games. Bet responsibly, though, if you do so. Here's my picks for this week. By the way, here's the leaders. Paul is now 14-3 and leading the way. 10 wins last week. Good job. Wait a minute. How can you be 14-3? Oh, I see. He's got 1 win so far this week. My bad. Through 1 week, he's got 14 wins. So does JB. Rick, good job. One of the ESPN generics, I can't tell. The Sports Nut with 12. Another generic with 12. Keith is at 10. Everybody else is in single digits, starting with Drew, the Mad New Yorker. Where's Poppy? Got all his picks in, 7 wins. Scott Kobe, 8 and 9. The rest did not get picks in. Here's my picks for this week. 10:09. We're stopping at 10:30, guys. Just an FYI. So we're going to fly through comments when I get through here. Keith had a loser with the Dolphins on Thursday night, by the way, so we're already in the hole. I'll take the Cowboys over the Saints. This could be a bet for Keith today, by the way, 6.5. The Lions. I like the Lions a lot today over the Buccaneers. I like the Colts -3 at Green Bay. I do not know what to expect out of Malik Willis. And I think you'll see a lot of Josh Jacobs today, but I like the Colts by 3. I'm going to take the Jets to recover. Again, major overreaction to the Jets loss on the road On a Monday night, a good San Francisco game. I don't care about McCaffrey not playing. Mason stepped up huge. 49ers have got some depth where other teams don't. I think, and nobody I played on the Jets in the preseason. This is why you get crappy games 1, 2, 3. I'll take the Jets today over the Titans. These are without spreads, by the way. My picks here that I'm giving you, I'll tell you if I'm betting the game. I will not probably bet that game. 49ers, I'll take over the Vikings. The Patriots, I'll take over the Seahawks. And possible wager. I'm going to take the Giants over the Commanders, Danny. Bounce back. I think overreaction number 2. The Giants are not that bad as they looked, which I know is not setting the bar very high. In an upset, I'm going to take the Panthers over the Chargers today because I don't think the Chargers are as good as we think. I love Harbaugh. He's a great coach. It sometimes takes some time to get some things going. I'm going to take the Panthers in an upset. A game I will bet today because it's only 3 points is Jacksonville over the Browns. Browns stink. Their quarterback situation is in disarray. The criminal, I refuse to even use his name, can't even play football anymore, so we don't have that justification. I'll take Jacksonville. The Ravens over the Raiders. I like the Cardinals over the Rams. I like the Broncos over the Steelers. I like the Chiefs over the Bengals. And I like the Texans over the Bears. Texans could be our survivor pick. Another tough week in my mind. Survivor pools are going to be very hard to stay in this year. It's a $100,000 pool. And I'll take the Eagles over the Falcons. That one I might change before Monday night. We'll see. Anyway, there's my picks. All right, guys, we got to get through these comments pretty quickly here. Where did I leave off? Said good morning to Jeremy. 1.6 for Northern Illinois to beat Notre Dame. That's a great point, Jeremy. Thank you. Some of these teams got to stop. I mean, here's two things. There's two sides of this. There's some teams that should stop paying teams to come in and kick their ass. And if these teams don't want to get their ass kicked by coming to Notre Dame, by coming to Miami, by coming to Alabama, Georgia, name any school you want to name, then don't take the money. Simple. Yes, NIU won. We just said that. It says to beat Notre Dame. Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Again, those teams could go in there and win. 99% of the time, though, Kenny, they're getting their asses kicked. I gave you 20 games, all of them lost except one. Two. Yes. Thank you. My parlays, Rick Sherlock took Indiana. Didn't we say this already? A&M straight up. Good. And then 4 2-team parlays. Memphis, South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia. Straight. These were with the points, I assume. So Memphis and South Carolina win. Alabama, Georgia loses. If you're saying they're. And then 4 2-team parlay. I'm not sure if I understand. How you did, Danny? Did you win or lose? I guess is the question. I can't really figure out what's going on there. Tua's family went into the Dolphins locker room. They're begging him to retire. His parents, girlfriend, and others. I don't doubt that they are. Competitive spirit and everything makes it tough. After this concussion, I do remember hearing he did. Everything in sports is selective prosecution. And again, I'm not just saying it's on the Patriots. It's the Astros. It's Michigan. When everybody's doing something, you pick one team. Playing football on a soccer field is designed to let players slide and celebrate. It doesn't make sense. Excuse me. Gosh. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the context is, sir. Jeremy, let me know. Hope I didn't miss a comment up there. Your blood pressure, LOL. It's both. I had a little sun yesterday, plus the blood pressure gets up a little bit when I get excitable. It's all fun though, man. I love this. There's nothing that gets my blood boiling, especially ready for some NFL Sunday. Get out there and root for my team to win. Then getting my blood going this morning with you guys. And it's all in fun because here's the thing. I can argue with you guys. I can argue with Rick about the quitter thing. I can argue with Kenny about whatever. We're on the same side of almost everything today, Kenny. So I can't even come up with something. Danny, I can argue with you about running up scores, and we part friends because that's what this show is about. Outside of the normal world of social media and the world today, where if you don't agree with me, you can't be my friend. That's not how I operate. And hopefully nobody comes in here with that attitude because we should be able to disagree. And I disagree vehemently. I feel passionate about the things that I believe in. Everything across the board. I wouldn't expect if everybody agreed with me, then what kind of world would we have if everybody agreed on everything? I mean, I guess theoretically it'd be a quieter one, but it would be better. I don't know. I love the fact we can disagree and still part friends. That's what I love. Jeremy says, newsflash for equipment managers. Take soccer cleats for your team, less sliding while on your feet. There you go. Maybe that's what Jeremy was going with the other comment. I was kind of lost there, but do they help flopping? We do see a lot of that in soccer. No, but it stops the slipping, and we saw... I think you're answering Kenny. I think it stopped slipping, and we saw already. You know what? There was a lot, and we'll get all this conversation probably at some point once somebody hurts a knee, and the turf, the field turf is bad, worse than grass. I mean, we go through these things in cycles. First, grass was bad for athletes. Plus, it was not economically convenient. Then we went to artificial turf, and that was proved to be a problem. We went back to grass. Then we went to field turf, which seemed fine. I don't know. Now we got 12 minutes and counting, Kenny. It shows how far I am behind, apparently. Keith Engle is playoff. I think he missed it. I will take the Giants today, yes. Counted on the Bengals and Titans to win. That's ugly. 12-4 still a pretty good week. I'm assuming that's straight up, right? Yeah, I figured what you said there. Brady wasn't his child. He could have told him, handle this another way. I'm not going to lie about it. It's fine. He lost his integrity. Doesn't change my argument even a little bit. You can question his integrity and his character. I told you're free to do that. But don't tell me other teams don't do it. Just don't tell me that. Don't insult my intelligence by telling me that everybody doesn't do these things. I said it with the whole Michigan thing. I screamed from the mountaintop. Everybody's doing this stuff. Everybody. And you're going to find out in this documentary, every team has got one of these guys on their staff. Everybody. Now, what they do to acquire signals is a different question. 18 minutes. I got a countdown clock now. See how far am I behind now? No, I'm 11 minutes behind. Matt, I can only hope the laughs doesn't mean that you're outing yourself as an old boy. Who's Matt? Oh, Matt. What Matt laugh at? I don't remember what Matt laughed at. Win 3 of 4. Oh, okay, I got you. So you won. So you're good. That's a good bet. Indiana against your UCLA Bruins, wasn't it? Is that who they played? Now we're out of comments too early. You guys cut me off too soon. I got 10 minutes to go. It's all definitely in fun. Totally. I love the opinions because that's all they are. Seriously. I say this all the time, right? I'm a very opinionated person. I am in no way, shape, or form of the opinion that all my opinions are accurate. That's pretty funny in itself. I will say this, and I say it almost every show, it seems, that I go by the Billy Packer maxim. Is that the word, right? I am sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. That's me. And when I'm wrong, I will admit it to you. When I'm wrong about the Giants, which I will not admit after one bad loss in September, after preseason where nobody plays, I won't admit I'm wrong yet. No. I mean, if they're 0-6, well, maybe then. Mr. and Danby, who's Mr. the bestie. But we judge and we disagree a lot. I love, again, we do that. And Paul, if you should want to get into the TGI Sports Talk chat group, any of you guys want to get into TGI chat group, you just got to send me a message. Send me a message in my private messenger, and I'll get you in that chat. We have some fun. There's times I'm too busy to participate in what's going on. There's other times I'm very involved and enjoy it a lot. There's a lot of good stuff that comes through there. We have some fun and some laughs. Kenny, real quick, you got time? We got 9 minutes now. I caught all up. Unless you guys put up 100 more comments. The guy that helps keep the coach from getting hit by the refs is paid $40K a month. I want that deal. Maybe not, because I'm going to get run over. I mean, I guess I'd do that. Would you do that for $40K a month? I would. Maybe not at 64 years old. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. A lot of good stuff today, guys. A lot of good stuff. Facts. Agreed. Kenny, when I seen that as well, LOL, I was asking you, where do I sign up? We just determined you're the same age as me, Danny. I don't think maybe two of us could do this and help each other out. Split the money. I'm afraid I'd get killed. I'm not a small guy. Oh, good stuff. Here's the thing. I speak all you guys now. Kenny, once in a while, not so much. I still don't know what that one word you were putting out there was, Kenny. Especially when your granddaughter's listening, I'll go Rick Sherlock, right? Rick's over there going, hit him in the face with that peanut butter. Guys, I literally was covered in peanut butter, and she was covered from like head to toe. Oh my God. We had just eaten dinner too. This little girl, I've never seen little kids, and she'll eat anything you give her. Vegetables, every vegetable. She'll eat vegetables I won't eat. She's such a beautiful little girl, man. Hope you enjoyed the pictures I put up yesterday. Melts my heart. I got 7 minutes. Matt Lidoff. You still haven't told me how to say your name phonetically. Lidioff. I don't know. He's going to challenge CA as the king of the emojis here. What do you got here, Matt? I can't tell what any of those things are. Oh, God. At 68, I would take it and take out life insurance. Now, get Aflac insurance at least, right? Well, here's the thing. Even if you got hurt, right? Even if you got hurt at 40 grand a month, you want disability, you're still getting 20 grand a month. I mean, it's 50%, right? I don't know if maybe there's a cap. I've never been on disability, so I don't know. Some of you may have been. You can fill me in. I'm not going on disability for a while. A few months. CA, exactly why I mentioned years ago that sports is controlled by dishonorable people who didn't invent the sports and breed more dishonesty in the world. Yeah, again, and that's TV, by the way. Just to be clear, television rules sports. There's no other doubt, and money, which is why you're going to pay more and more, to watch sports as we get older, or pay less and don't watch any sports. There's going to be more streaming. There's going to be more a la carte, right? If you want to watch whatever, I want to watch a Patriots Seattle today. Well, I'm going to pay for that game. $5, whatever, $10, whatever they want to charge. NFL tickets head in that direction. That's one of the things that people wanted. They wanted to be able to and I think they're getting close to adding an a la carte feature where you can just buy the game you want to watch. Me, I'll go out and watch the game, and it'll cost me $60 today. And I could have watched it at home for free on Fubo. Get the food, guys, and slingshot it your TV. That's how my wife watches the Patriot games when they're not on our local channel. Free. Doesn't cost a nickel. I think she told me that it didn't buffer. Sometimes you got to go find a new feed because there'll be 3 feeds or 5 feeds. But she didn't have to change it once last week. Kenny, let me know on the countdown. The closing of the show has a terrible representative. The only real sad spot in the show. He is a little rough on the time. Now, in fairness to me, and I got 2 minutes so I can put up the ad you hate so much before we go. We've gone long over a week because I want to get all your comments in. You guys have been so good. That's why we go long. I won't watch it eventually. Just watch Keith for the info. There you go. 4 minutes. Actually, I'm way caught up on 3 minutes. Kenny, totally agree. 100% so happy. Chris F. Gray told me about Keith. Danny, I thank you so much for the kind words and the stars and everything else you do. And I thank all of you. And we're going to wrap it up with that. If a comment comes up, I see, we'll put it up. But you guys have been tremendous, as every Sunday and every show I do. You guys make this show and you make it worth me doing it. And I have fun. The reason I do this is to have fun. Now we run an ad beginning and the end just to maybe we can make some money someday. We retire. Who knows? We make some money. I don't care that much about that. I do it because it's fun. When it becomes work, I stop doing it. Guys, you've been great. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk. Why am I not getting any music? I'm not getting any music. I don't know. There we go. Guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort, and I appreciate your comments. We will see you next week. Keith Engle from TGI Sports Talk. You have a good day. Gary Doviad. Always. Because you're getting up 500 a day. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spread and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nbssp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly. You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk, on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.